How does that look?
No, I'm not saying that. You get some sense that there's a handful of stocks.
Look at that. I mean, you could tie that to the market. Bang.
What's up, dude? Are you trying to drop a couple LBs? Not that you need to. I'm just, you wearing one of those shirts. That's one of those, like those shirts you sweat
I
in,
love
right?
those shirts. Back when I was in high school, we didn't have all the fancy, saunas and those types of things. So we used to get
Garbage
like plastic garbage.
Garbage
Sure. I
bags.
mean, that's what
Yeah.
we did.
So
Yeah, sweat a few off.
why were you dropping LBs back then?
You wanted to sort of get lean. You wanted to be able to be a little faster on the football field. I mean, you wanted to look good in your, in your bike shorts,
jean
back,
jacket.
in your
Yeah.
jean jacket, all those things. So yeah, I mean, you're always looking, I think, to whittle it down. Like, a lot of people like to bulk up. I'm looking to whittle down.
I'm not looking to whittle anything down. So all right. So you're feeling a little big after the holiday season, huh? I mean, so that's what one of those shirts is? You're wearing one of those.
It's actually, they call it a pullover that golfers wear when they're out on the links, and maybe, when there's a little mist out, they put something like this over.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know you're a big golfer, and it wicks away the sweat too, right? It wicks away. That's what they say.
That's such a great Wick. Isn't John Wick like, is it Keanu Reeves or one of those other cats that's in those movies? Like, they all look the same after a while.
I don't even know who John Wick is. I know who Keanu Reeves is. By the way, I mean, Bodie in Point Break is one of the great characters of any movie. But look, the replacements, I got time for. Jon Favreau, I mean, like he talk about beefing up for a role. I mean, that guy looked like a lineman in that. Anyway,
So you talk about the replacements, the movie, and I think about the replacements, the band, and I believe their hit album was "Don't Tell a Soul," which the fact that I could pull that like I just did is unbelievable.
So replacements are from Minneapolis, Minnesota, which has got a great music scene. A lot of people don't know that. That was probably their 9th album. No one had heard of the band. And Paul Westerberg, who really wrote and was a major part of that single soundtrack, which is one of the great soundtracks of all times. That was an album for the Replacements that was kind of the sellout album. It was kind of the synchronicity album, if I may, which the Police, obviously, they lost me then. Their best album was entitled Tim, by the way.
Of course it was, which is why it's the only reason why you're so well versed in this, which is fantastic. Yeah. And you mentioned, when I think of people just, having a bit too much fun, for some reason I think of guys and gals playing Frisbee. And it was this week in 1957 that Wham-O, great name for a company, by the way, introduced, I think at the time they called it the Pluto platter. And then it was subsequently changed into, I'm just telling you, changed to the Frisbee. I will tell you, I can say this without equivocation, I sucked at Frisbee.
And I don't know if it was in my high school or somewhere, like Westchester's got some serious Frisbee going on, but the killer bees, as in Frisbees, look, I'm strong. The question is, can I throw it this way? Can I throw it that way?
I was always impressed by, the guys and gals who were able to throw the Frisbee sort of with that sideways action instead of like the reverse action. Yeah. And mine never, if I were to throw a Frisbee 10 times, one of those times maybe it actually went where I wanted it to go. To me, it was as frustrating a sport as hacky sack, which, by the way, was another Wham-O product.
When I think of the Frisbee and I think of Wham-O, by the way, when I think of Wham-O, I think of the Whammer. Who's the Whammer?
So the Whammer was a baseball player. Now, this is what I'm going to throw at you. The Whammer was a baseball player in The Natural with Robert Redford and Robert Duvall. So the Whammer was the guy. It was basically loosely based on Babe Ruth, and he was on a train, and Robert Redford came up and he challenged him. I'll strike you out on 3 pitches. That was the Whammer.
Right. Okay. So when I think of Wham-O Frisbees, I think of the Whammer, but I also think of Nerf. I think of a Nerf football. I mean, I don't know when Nerf was invented. That wasn't even really a football, because a Nerf ball was also a basketball. I had a Nerf hoop over my closet in my room, and I'd be up late watching Knick games, banking like Jays off the ceiling late into the evening with my Nerf balls. But you know what's broken is really the toy business. And if you think about the traditional toys that we all played with growing up, I mean, I don't even know where I'd find a Wham-O frisbee or a Nerf ball other than going on Amazon. So is Amazon the most important toy retailer at this point? And what happened to Baby G and Toys R Us? I mean, the fact of the matter is, in the last 10 years, we've lost every major, again, toy superstore, and it's now Walmart or Amazon. And I don't know, is that a bad thing?
What was the first song they played on MTV? Like "Video Killed the Radio Star" or something? Isn't that right?
The Bugles, the Buggles, yeah, Video Killed the Radio Star. So
well, not only did video kill the radio star, I think these video games killed the toy industry. I mean, kids aren't playing the same way. You know, they're much more interested in their devices and what they can play on said devices than they are buying a Nerf football and then 5 days later seeing a piece of it chewed out by the dog, which would make me crazy, by the way, because it was, you lost its pristineness and then you had to go get another one. I think that actually was the genius of Nerf.
But Mattel in the last 18 months, 2 years, has gone from being a company that was really on the brink to having, I think, rebuilt. And Barbie and Ken, first of all, in a world where I think people are looking at lifestyles and how people should be personified and portrayed, the world of diversity, the world of inclusion. Barbie and Ken are models of that at this point, and Mattel's come a long way. And Mattel is also, as you mentioned the video game dynamic. I mean, Mattel has adopted a digital strategy for these characters. So, I actually think Mattel is an interesting company. The only other toy company I can think of is Hasbro.
You just like saying Hasbro. I will tell you that as a young child, the gift that I wanted most around the holidays was either model trains or those slot cars that you would put together, where you had the little squeeze thing to make the cars go faster or slower, and invariably you'd go a little too fast around a turn, and regardless of whether or not you had guardrails up, your car would flip over. It was tremendous.
As far as I'm concerned, bowling might as well have been created in the 50s and probably died along with Toys R Us. Does anybody go bowling anymore?
Absolutely. There's a rebirth in bowling. I mean, bowling is absolutely huge. I'll get out there. You actually may recall this. We had a Fast Money holiday party a few years ago that I showed up a few minutes late to. I was in my suit. They handed me a ball, and I proceeded. The first 3 balls I threw were strikes, and people like, my God, that's Earl Anthony. That's not Guy Adami.
That, by the way, sweet pull on Earl Anthony. I don't think I could give you one more. Is there another bowler out there that anybody knows?
Mark Roth. I mean, I'll go all day with bowling. By the way, Chris Schenkel was the dean.
Stop.
I'm just, you brought it up. I didn't. I mean, it's not like I prepared for a bowling segment.
I'm going to go with Walmart. Look, when I go to buy my kids, I'm looking for toys. I'm going to Walmart. In fact, the last Nerf ball I bought was at Walmart. The last bicycle I bought was at Walmart. So when you consider also somebody taking Amazon head on in the world of e-commerce that, like so many of these trends around COVID, is something that's only picked up steam and accelerated something that was already in process. Look, Walmart's an e-commerce play. And as far as I'm concerned, what I like about Walmart is I can actually go into that store, throw the Frisbee around.
You think of toys, you think of Walmart. I think of toys, and I think of one of the most iconic albums of all time. The cover.
Toys in the Attic.
I'll put it. That's a top 5. You might not like the album, but there's no denying that album cover was just incredible.
Well, God, there's no denying that on this episode of Commercial Break, we've probably covered a gamut of useless information. But the good news for folks is if they want to hear it again, how do they do that?
Well, what do you mean if they want to hear it again? I mean, they're going to watch this one on a loop. They can catch us in the airports, the lounges. Maybe we're by the restrooms, the gates, the restaurants, but we're in every airport in the United States, Tim.
And maybe even near the sporting goods section of the airports. I'm Tim Seymour. You're Guy Adami. Collectively, we are.
We're definitely Commercial Break.